What's up, YouTube? This your boy Big Kaz. Happy Sunday. Hope y'all made it to and from church. For those who go to church, for those who don't, still happy Sunday. Love y'all the same. Did church on live stream earlier, but it was a good message. But anyways, this is not the time and place to shove religion down. You know, who you pray to, that's your business. It's all that matters to me. As long as we respect each other, that's all. Anyways, I want to give a happy 35th birthday shout out to the Super Nintendo Entertainment System that was released on Friday, August 23rd of 1991. The launch titles were Super Mario World, which was the packing game the first year of the console. Then other games were Pilot Wings and F-Zero for Nintendo that were published by Nintendo, and Konami's Gradius 3. And also, shortly after, SimCity on Nintendo from Maxis was the other title that came out shortly after. The first year, 1991, was a good year for the console, thanks to titles such as UN Squadron, Final Fight, Final Fantasy II. I think in Japan it's the fourth or the fifth one. I'm not sure. Need to look that up. Super Tennis, Super Baseball Simulator 1000, Super Off-Road, and Super Ghouls and Ghosts. 1992 would be the year that it would start to improve thanks to the releases of the arcade hit from 1991, Street Fighter II, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, NCAA Basketball, Axelay, Mario Paint, Magic Sword, Super Batter Up, and many other great titles, as well as Super Smash TV and all. 1992 was the year I got my Super Nintendo, which you saw earlier. I was 3 years old and my brother was 10. It was really my brother's at the time. 1993 was a bit of a down year for the console. Although it had Star Fox and Super Mario All-Stars and Street Fighter II Turbo, but Mortal Kombat, which also came out for the Sega Genesis, thanks to Nintendo's family-friendly policy. It lacked blood and gore. The Genesis had it through a code, and the Genesis outsold the Super Nintendo version 3-1. 1994 was another great year for the Super Nintendo, thanks to titles such as Mega Man X, Donkey Kong Country, Mortal Kombat 2, which was uncensored by that time, Final Fantasy III, Super Punch-Out, many other great titles that year. I think that was probably the best year of the Super Nintendo ever. There were also other titles such as Super Metroid, R-Type 3, and Ken Griffey Jr. presents Major League Baseball. Also in 1994, finally saw the Super Nintendo overtake the Sega Genesis, which lasted to the remainder of the era, and the Super Nintendo will remain popular well into the PlayStation 1, Nintendo 64 era, where even publications such as EGM gave high marks as late as 1997. Without not many major new releases came out in 97 and 98. The last release was Frogger, that came out, I think, in June of 1998 or October that year. About a year later, the Super Nintendo ceased production. It has been popular with retro gaming enthusiasts, including myself, and still a popular retro gaming console, and one of the best of all time. I think it's my favorite console of all time. It didn't dominate the industry like its predecessor, the NES, did, but it still left a lasting impact on many gamers and introduced the shoulder buttons, which you will see on the PlayStation and Xbox consoles, but also consoles that we forgot about, that some people don't remember, like the Dreamcast, the Saturn, the Wii U, and some others had shoulder buttons. They were inspired by the Super Nintendo, and they added an extra X and Y button on top. In 2017, they introduced the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, which I have 2 of them modded with 30 games. And like the Super Nintendo is definitely one of my favorite consoles of all time. The console that made me fall in love with gaming. I still continue to play it to this day, whether it's the modded mini or the actual system. Sometimes emulation. I would play some games on PSP and the RetroPie. But also, I'm gonna show you some of my favorite Super Nintendo games. NCAA basketball came out in 1992. One of the better basketball games of its time, better than the Bulls versus Blazers Lakers series, in my opinion. But not better than Tecmo. Also, Super Mario World, still my original cartridge from '92. I've had this cartridge for forever, and every year I make it my business to play it at least once a year, whether it's original cartridge form, emulation, whatever. Definitely one of my favorite, if not my favorite game of all time. Mortal Kombat 2, another one of my favorites. When Nintendo announced they were going to put blood and gore in this one, it made Sega shook. And it got back on Sega. One of the best ports of the game. It's also on the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection on PS4, PS5, Switch 1 and 2, Xbox One, and Series X or X, PC and Steam. Definitely check out the Legacy Collection. This port is up there along with the arcade, Genesis, and 32X ports. Definitely check this port out up there. You will not be disappointed. Very fun game. Tecmo Super Bowl. It's not the NES version, but it gets the job done. Definitely has great music, great stats. And the flow of the game is not as good as the Genesis version, but still, or definitely the NES for sure, but it's still a good one. Miss Pac-Man, an arcade classic. One of the better ports of the game, neck to neck with the Genesis version. I don't think it's a single bad port of Miss Pac-Man. Like, it's just that legendary. I've yet to come across a bad one. I also have the one on Genesis and the original Nintendo and some of the arcade compilations on the PS1, PS2, and original Xbox. And that, of course, the arcade rules them all, but still, Miss Pac-Man, it's legendary. Super high impact football. The NFL Blitz before the NFL Blitz, made by the same company, Midway. Definitely a vibe. Your mama's boy. I eat quarterbacks for breakfast. Wicked hit. You can fight up there. Of course, it doesn't have the NFL license or anything, but has teams from Europe and Africa, along with like teams from NFL cities. No ratings. Definitely best played with 2 players. It's also on Genesis, so definitely give this a shot. Final Fight, not as good as the arcade version or the Sega CD version or the compilations on PS2, original Xbox, and the Capcom Arcade Collection. Definitely check it out. It's on Capcom Arcade Stadium on the PS4, but you can get it digitally and you can get the physical one through limited run games. Definitely check them out. Hey, check this game out. This is unfortunately this version is unfortunately 1 player, but on the other versions, it's 2 player beat 'em up fun. You'll have lots of fun playing this. Also, check out the Arcade 1-Up or your local barcade that has this. You'll have fun. Ken Griffey Jr. presents Major League Baseball. Probably my favorite baseball game of all time. Doesn't have real players, but most of the time since 2006 or so, I would edit it to the real players' names. The best teams are the Blue Jays and the Braves on that game. Also, the White Sox are really good. The Expos, the Phillies. Definitely check this game out. Fictional characters are in by default, such as Apollo Creed for the Phillies is actually Dave Hollins, and Grant Park is actually Steve Avery of the Braves from the pictures, and it's just a lot of interesting stuff. Detroit players are named after Motown people. The Seattle Mariners are named after Nintendo of American employees, except for Ken Griffey Jr., of course. The Yankees are named after Yankee legends. The White Sox are named after legends of the St. John's basketball team when they were at its peak in the 80s and the early 90s. But still, great music, fast gameplay. It's very fun. Definitely check it out. Street Fighter 2, one of the great arcade ports ever, one of the best games of all time. Definitely helped the Super Nintendo put the Super Nintendo on the map, along with Super Mario World and The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Not as good as Turbo, but this is still a good play. Check this out. Check it out. Turtles in Time, very fun game. Great two-player game. It's definitely a vibe. I low-key think it's better than the arcade version. It also, I think, is better than the Hyperstone Heist on the Sega Genesis, which I also have. But still, check this out. It's also on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection on the PS4, PS5, Series X and X, Switch 1 and 2, and Steam. This one and the arcade version, along with Hyperstone Heist or Heist on the Genesis, is on the Cowabunga collection. So definitely don't forget to check them out. Very fun game. Like the Neon Knight Riders bonus level. Love great music and great atmosphere. Donkey Kong Country. This definitely gave the Super Nintendo the edge over the Genesis. Great graphics for its time. It didn't feel like a Super Nintendo game. Thanks to the great geniuses of Rare and the ACM technology that helped the Super Nintendo remain popular well into the PS1, Nintendo 64, and Saturn era. Great music, great level designs. What a great atmosphere. Definitely check this out. Who can forget about Killer Instinct? Another classic by Rare. An arcade port. Kind of like a stripped down version of Mortal Kombat, but still a good time. Definitely check out the arcade 1-Up version. Still a great game, even though it's downgraded, but you'll still have a good time with it. Combo Breaker, Ultra Combo. Yeah, check this out. Get a chance. Street Fighter 2 Turbo, definitely one of my favorite. Definitely the best Street Fighter game on the Super Nintendo. You can now play as the four bosses that you couldn't do on the original game. You just had to fight against them. Balrog, Vega, Sagat, and M. Bison. Definitely fun. Great two-player game. They added an audience cheering, the elephants making noises on the Dowsum stage. Honestly, it reminds me of Delta Sigma Theta. Shout out to Delta Sigma Theta, a sorority. have some family members in that sorority and some friends in that sorority. So shout outs to DST, because them elephants made me think of them. Anyways, it's not the point on Dowsum stage. But anyways, it's a fun game, great soundtrack. And it's on the Super Nintendo Mini. So if you decide to get one, great game. Best of both Super Mario World and Super Mario All-Stars. Definitely the definitive version to play Super Mario World. And of course, Super Mario All-Stars. By the time this one came out, I already had the Super Nintendo. But still, this is a great buy. Super Mario All-Stars, you have Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3 for the original Nintendo, and including the Japanese version of Super Mario Brothers 2, aka the Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels. Upgraded in 16-bit graphics and sound. Very fun. It was cool that Nintendo released it, even though they were supporting the NES around that time, but still, definitely pick this up. You'll have a blast. The definitive way to play Super Mario World and All-Stars. Anyways, it's your boy Big Kaz. I'll catch you next time. Take care.